Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Utin Irmi Kumalasari. I'm from Siap Afternoon. Here, I will explain the first part about the historical and political of the Victorian era. Historical Victorian era. Victorian era in the British history, the period between approximately 1820 and 1940. Corresponding roughly but not exactly to the period of Queen Victoria region, 1837 until 1901, and the character by a class-based society, a growing number of people able to vote, a growing state in the economy, and the Britain's status as the most powerful empire in the world. During the Victorian period, Britain was a powerful nation with a rich culture. It had a stable government, a growing state, and expanding branches. It also controlled a large empire, and this was wealth in the part because of its degree of industrialization and its imperial holding, and in spite of the fact that 3 until 4 or more of its population was working class. Late in the period, Britain began to decline as a global political and economic power relative to other major powers, particularly the United States, but this decline was not acutely noticeable until after World War II. Next, the political in Victorian era. The political in Victorian era consists of the monarchs and the two Houses of Parliament, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. The monarchs during this period were Queen Victoria, 1837 until 1901, presided by King George IV, 1820 until 1830, and King William IV, 1830 until 1837, and followed by King Edward VII, 1901 until 1910, and King George V, 1910 until 1936. During the Victorian period, the House of Commons became the center of government. The House of Lords lost power, though it remains influential until the Parliament Act of 1911, and the monarch transformed into a symbol of the nation. The House of Commons consists about 600 men called Member of Parliament (MPs), who were elected to represent the counties and boroughs of England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. Important political events during this period include the abolition of slavery in the British Empire, the expansion of the French working class, political activism, most notable Chartism, the rise of liberalism as the dominant political ideology, especially of the middle class, and the nationalization of conservative and liberal parties, and the emergence of the British Labour Party in 1906. Political conflict between Ireland and Britain and the rise of Irish nationalism were also hallmark of the era, as were women's rights activism, which resulted in the Married Women Poverty Act, the revolt of the Contagious Diseases Act, and the grounds of education and employment option for women.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hesti Dwi Aprilia. I will explain the social cultural situation of the Victorian era. More access makes British cultural products more important. They not only reveal a great deal about societies in which they emerged, but during the Victorian period, England was the cultural capital of the world in Britain, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Victorian performance and French culture is rich and diverse, a mix of melodrama, spectacle, and morality. James Greenwood, an anti-idiotic entertainment company from the Vale of London, featured an imaginary music room called Grampians, a little grave by Alfred Consonant, 1874. The Mander and Mitchinson Theatre Collection, London. Theatre is booming. Melodrama featuring evil villains, features heroines, and complex plots is the genre's most important, the most popular. From insufficient later sensation drama become popular. Even more popular are the music room, which feature a wide variety of programs on singing, dancing, skating, and more. This appeared in the 1815s, and by the 1870s, there were hundreds of people all over England, several thousand people. The music room attracts people of all classes. The French culture is also rich, diverse, aided by relatively high literacy rate. There are hundreds of magazines and newspapers available at a lower price. In the 1880s, new journalism emerged, which authored speech and fictions about crime and violence in high society. Victorian novels were often quite long, with complex plots often centering on marriage and multi-character. Many, especially those by Charles Dickens, are still read today. The novel was a key feature of Victorian French culture. By the middle of the century, British citizens of all classes could afford to read novels. Some language catered to the highly educated and wealthy, others to less educated readers who are looking for a compelling and engaging story. The gruesome novels and funny sensation-based view in Wilkie Collins' work thrill the reader. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you all? I hope we are all fine. Okay, my name is Utin Nadila. I'm from class C afternoon. I will tell a story about queens in the Victorian era. Victoria Alexandrina Victoria, 24 May 1819 until 22 January 1801, was Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland from 20 June 1837 until her death. Known as the Victorian Era, her reign of 63 years and 7 months was longer than that of any of her predecessors. It was a period of industrial, political, scientific, and military change within the United Kingdom, and was marked by a great expansion of the British Empire. In 1879, Parliament voted her the additional title of Empress of India. Victoria was the daughter of Prince Edward, Duke of Kent and Strathern, the fourth son of King George III, and Princess Victoria of Sussex, Coburt's Salford after both the dad and his father died in 1820. She was raised under close supervision by her mother and her comforter, John Conray. She inherited the throne aged 18 after her father's three elder brothers died without surviving legitimate issue. Took a constitutional monarch's privately, Victoria attempted to influence government politically and ministerial appointments publicly. She became a national icon who was identified with strict standards of personal morality. Victoria married her first cousin, Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Garan in 1840. Their children married into royal and noble families across the continent, earning Victoria the sobriquet, the grandmother of Europe, and spreading hemophilia in European royalty. After Albert's death in 1861, Victoria plunged into deep mourning and avoided public appearance as a result of her seclusion. Republicans in the United Kingdom temporarily gained strength, but in the later half of her reign, her popularity recovered. Her golden and diamond jubilees were in the United Kingdom temporarily gained strength, but in the later half of her reign, her popularity recovered. Her golden and diamond jubilees were times of public celebration. She died on the Isle of Wight in 1901, the last British monarch of the House of Hanover. She was succeeded by her son Edward VII of the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gara. Okay, this is a short story about the Queen in the Victorian era. Thank you for your attention and see you.
Hi, good afternoon everyone, and how are you today? I hope you are pretty good. So, here I will talk about English literature, but before we start talk about English literature, first let me introduce myself. So my name is Fransiska Darmawati and I'm from C Afternoon. In this English literature talk, I will try to explain about Victorian age, that is the author in Victorian age, particularly the Victorian novel. So let's start about the Victorian novel. Here you go.
It is the Victoria Queen. So guys, it was in the Victoria era, that is 1837 until 1901, that the novel became the leading literary genre in English, that women played an important part in this rising popularity, but as an author and as readers is so very good.
And so next,
in 1832, that became Peter Uphills, which followed the Reforms Act, where in this was in many ways a reaction to rapid industrializations, social, political, and economic issues associated with it, and was a means of commencing an abuse of government and industry and the suffering of the poor, that who were not profit from England's economic prosperity.
and actually guys, so many authors in Victoria age, particularly Victorian novel, but here on today I cannot explain all of them, and today I'm gonna explain a few things. So we start with Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens, 1812 until 1870, emerged on the literary scene in the late 1830s and soon became probably the most famous novels in the history of English literature. Dickens' praises satirized various aspects of society, including the workhouse in Oliver Twist, the failures of the legal system in Black House. So, Charles Dickens in this Victorian era, and particularly Victorian novel, have a rival. The rival Charles is William Makepeace Thackeray. I don't know how to spelling this, so I can say, or I can call the name is William. William 1811 until 1863. That is who during the Victorian period ranks second only to Charles Dickens. But he is now known almost exclusive for Vanity Fair, that is 1847.
So guys, American novels, it begins by the mid 19th century, that the premise of literature from the British Islands began to be challenging by writers from the former American colonials, that a major influence on American writer at this time was Romanticism, that which gave rise to New England. And American realist fiction has its beginnings in the 1870, with the works of Mark Twain, William Dean Howland, and Henry James. And I'm sorry, maybe here I will not explain all of them, but I will explain or focus in Mark Twain and Henry James. And so we start with Mark Twain.
Mark Twain is the pen name used by Samuel Longhurst claims. It's 1835 until 1910. It was the first major American writer to be born away from the East Coast in the broader state of Missouri, and his masterpieces were the novel Adventure of Tom Sawyer, that 1876, and Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. It's 1884. That is one style changed the way American writers their language. His characters speak like real people and sound distinctly American, and he using local dialect and newly invented words and religious accents. So guys, next we gonna talk about Henry James. Henry James, 1843 until 1916, was a major American novelist of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Also born in New York City, he spent most of his adult years in England, and England. Many of his novels centers on America who lives in or traveled to Europe, and James confronted the old world until new world dilemma by writing directly about it. His works include the portrait of a lady, the Bostonians, like 1886, and the Fransiska Darmawati, Texas 1886.
Okay guys, so I think enough my presentations on my explanation about Victorian novels. And next, Rosi gonna talk about Victoria poetry. Okay, see you.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. How are you today? I hope you are very well. So now I will talk about English literature. But before I will talk about it, the first let me introduce myself. My name is Rosi anggriani and I'm from the afternoon. In this literature, so I will to try explain about the author of the Victorian era, especially about the poetry. So now we can start about it. Okay, guys, and this is the feature of Queen Victoria. So the Victorian literature refers to English literature during the reign of Queen Victoria, 1837 until 1900. English writing from this era reflects the major transformation in most aspects of English life, such as significant scientific, economic, and technological advance, to change in class structure and the role of religion in society. While the Romantic period was a time of abstract expression and inward focus, essayists, poets, and novelists during the Victorian era began to reflect and comment on realities of the day, including criticism of the dangers of factory work, the plight of the lower class, and the treatment of women and children. Okay, now I will so the Victorian era was a period of great political, social, and economic change. The empire recovered from the loss of American colonies and entered a period of rapid expansion. And this expansion combined with increasing industrialism and mechanism led to a prolonged period of community growth. The Reform Act 1832 was the beginning of a process that would eventually lead to universal suffrage. The major Victorian poets were John Clare, Alfred Lord Tennyson, Robert Browning, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Matthew Arnold, Christina Rossetti, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Gabriel Louis Stevenson, Oscar Wilde, William Butler Yeats, Rudyard Kipling, Thomas Hardy, and Gerald Manley Hopkins. Though Hopkins was not published until 1918. Okay, the Robert Browning was born on 7 May 1812 in Walworth, in the parish of Camberwell. Robert Browning was an English poet and playwright whose dramatic monologues made him one of the foremost Victorian poets. His poems are known for irony, characterization, dark humor, social commentary, historical settings, and challenging vocabulary and syntax. His career began well, but collapsed for a time. The long poems Pauline, 1830, and Paracelsus, 1835, were acclaimed, but in 1840, Sordello was seen as willfully absurd. Okay, now I will discuss about Albert Lord Tennyson. Tennyson was born on 6 August 1809 in Somerby, Lincolnshire, England. Tennyson was a British poet. He was the poet laureate during much of Queen Victoria's reign and remains one of the most popular British poets. In 1829, Tennyson was awarded the Chancellor's of Gold Medal at the Cambridge for one of his first pieces, Timbuktu. He published his first solo collection of poems, Chiefly Lyrical, in 1830, Claribel and Mariana, which remain some of Tennyson's most celebrated poems, will include in this volume. Although decried by some critics as overly sentimental, his verses soon proved popular and brought Tennyson to the attention of well-known writers of the day, including Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Tennyson's early poetry, with its medievalist and powerful visual imagery, was a major influence on the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Hey guys, I think this is enough for about the English literature of Victorian era, especially the others. So I say thank you so much for your attention and see you.